Hi, you're with India Post Live, India's first online news conversation portal where you too can participate in this conversation. I'm Ishan Russell, and how you can participate in this conversation? Well, it's really simple. Just go to our website, indiapostlive.com, log in and post a comment. If you want to come in via Skype or Google Hangout and really participate in this discussion, you can do that as well. Also, you can use social media. You can use Twitter, Facebook. On Twitter, you can use hashtag IndiaPostLive or use our Twitter handle at IndiaPostLive. And on Facebook, just go to our page and log in and post a comment over there. So what are we talking about today? Well, it's there is a new government in the offing, and what will really be that new government? Of course, we know who's going to be Prime Minister, but what are the rest of the seats? That is what we'll be discussing today with Sudeep Srivastav. He's an expert as far as politics is concerned. He's a social activist, a lawyer, an RTI activist, and dons numerous hats and has been really observing this election quite closely. We're also joined by Gaurav Jain. Gaurav has a unique distinction as far as the Lok Sabha elections go. Perhaps one of the most travelled candidates in terms of the number of kilometers he actually covered, not in a plane, but by himself on a bicycle. He went around and actually got a sense on the ground, really from the ground, and he'll be joining us as well. He's a freelance journalist. Vijay Grover joins us. For those of you familiar with Southern Indian politics, well, Vijay Grover is a name you've heard for the past 20 years because Vijay's covered everything, every particular state, and he'll be joining us to give us a national perspective on what Southern India holds, the importance Southern India holds, as well as, what the rest of the country holds, because Vijay is a Punjabi in South India. All right, so I'll start with you, Sudeep. The new government, what will it look like? Will it have place for LK Advani, Sushma Swaraj?
First of all, Narendra Modi has said on more than one occasion that he prefer a small government. So the normal practice of last 15-20 years of coalition governments having 60 to 70 ministers, jumbo cabinets, I don't think he is going for that. So the moment you start reducing, say 35-40, then surely some are going to miss the bus.
Right.
That's for sure. As far as Advani ji is concerned, Advani ji won't prefer working under the Narendra Modi, so he is hinted quite often that he would rather prefer become a parliament speaker. But Sushma Swaraj will definitely be there, and Rajnath Singh is also a main contender. Arun Jaitley, lot of names are doing rounds, but I found one particular name missing. That is of Yashwant Sinha. He has held Minister of External Affairs and Finance, and also he was Minister of Finance in Chandrasekhar government. He is very much in Rajya Sabha, and but nobody is talking about him on any portfolio. So it means Jaswant Singh, they denied ticket. Advani ji won't be in the cabinet.
And Yashwant Sinha also did
Yashwant Sinha also is contested, but he is in Rajya Sabha, I think. So Modi will prefer.
No, I don't think he's in anyhow.
Modi will prefer a cabinet who is either contemporary to him or junior to him.
All right, so Vijay, can we expect that? And who are the prominent faces from South India? I mean, the BJP this time has been really gung-ho about the effect it had had all across India. So, do we see any of your friends from South India joining the cabinet, no matter how small it is?
Very clear that as far as Karnataka is concerned, there have been about 4 contenders already who are camping in Delhi at this moment. Southern Gowda, and also we have some more people who have been camping over there. Really, they want to stake a claim because they feel that the BJP has made its mark in the south only because of these people, and that's something which will be a tough task for Yediyurappa himself, because Yediyurappa, given the fact that he's still got cases against him, may not qualify for the moment. Anant Kumar, by the virtue of the fact that he is a very close confidant of LK Advani in the past, Modi may either give him a portfolio which is not very important, or may avoid it if possible. That's something which stands out in this particular race as far as South is concerned. But one thing that we do see is Pon Radhakrishnan, the president of the Tamil Nadu BJP, certainly will get a ministry, not only because he's the first MP from BJP in Tamil Nadu, but also the fact that Modi would want to use him to develop the party in the south, especially because he comes from Kanyakumari, and that's a very pivotal center as far as both Kerala and Tamil Nadu are concerned. So that's the three states. Andhra Pradesh, certainly we have contenders, Bandaru Dattatreya and others, but not for any senior portfolio. They would be looking at very junior roles, as has been the case in the past. Venkaiah Naidu is being discussed about, but I have my own doubts that Narendra Modi would give the chance to Venkaiah Naidu, given the fact that he is not been able to perform well in the past as well, and this time around he would not want to carry excess baggage.
All right, fair enough. The excess baggage point is what both Sudeep and Vijay have raised. In case you have a response to that, you think that Modi should have a bigger cabinet, any suggestions that you have to make to Modi, well, you can do it through us. Just go to indiapostlive.com, log in and post your comments over there, or use social media like Twitter or Facebook to get in touch with us. Gaurav, across to you. As far as this entire as far as this entire cabinet of Narendra Modi goes, what are your expectations, and how much of the RSS influence would we see?
Well, I'm not sure about the RS though, although RSS has shown a history of having a strong hold on BJP as far as major decision taking is concerned. But taking a cue from the praises Arun Jaitley offered to Baba Ram, I have a hunch that we might see Baba Ram in some role in the health ministry. And that is something which I'm really apprehensive about.
So, I mean,
as far as
go ahead.
The style of Modi governance is he likes to have a strong hold on almost all the major portfolios. So, taking if Gujarat model has something to tell us about what's in the offing, maybe he'll like to have a strong hold on maybe home ministry, and even if not directly, but maybe he will have somebody he's confident, so that he has a direct say in virtually all the decisions taken.
Alright, so the contenders for the Home Ministry post, according to my BJP sources right now, are Nitin Gadkari and Rajnath Singh. Both have asked for it. The RSS might put for Nitin Gadkari over Rajnath Singh, but then, I mean, if I go by your argument, then it could be Amit Shah in the Home Minister's seat as far as India is concerned. And is that a possibility? Do you think it's a possibility?
Is it directed to me?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Amit Shah is Modi's man Friday, and I mean, he was given the responsibility. He has played the role in Gujarat, if I'm not wrong, and by all means, he has a strong likelihood of given the responsibility of a home minister in the coming government.
Is that a possibility according to you, Sudeep, as well? Amit Shah?
Amit Shah, I don't think so at this moment.
He could be, I think, what my sources are telling me, he could be MOS, PMO.
The MOS, PMO, he could be. Because he was MOS home under Narendra Modi. And one thing is very peculiar about Narendra Modi, that he preferred to have MOS in key ministries. Like in petrochemicals, he kept Saurabh Patel as MOS for a long time, though he is a relative of Ambani's. But he kept him as an MOS, and later on he became cabinet minister. So is the case of Amit Shah. But this is his first tenure in Delhi, first term. If we recall, when he was made chief minister first time in 2001, he didn't exercise his power and adopted every suggestion of RSS and Keshubhai Patel in ministry formation. But once he came back again in 2002 with thumping majority, then he started doing his own thing. So here he has gained this victory on his own, it seems, and the message is clear. But this is his first inning. So I am keeping my fingers crossed how much power he would exercise in finalizing cabinet on his own, or how much he concede the recommendation of RSS and other leaders.
All right, I would put that question across to Vijay. Vijay, you've observed Indian politics for the longest time. So, how much of the RSS influence do we see on Narendra Modi, given the mandate, given the fact that it was a really decisive mandate in favor of Modi?
Well, see, this time around, the RSS came out openly and campaigned for the BJP, and we saw, especially the UP experiment working out for them. So, given this scenario, the RSS has been playing a very crucial role. We've been seeing that BJP leaders have been dropping in at Keshav Kripalu and paying their obeisance over there, clearly trying to influence the decision making, because they know that at least a part of it would be decided by the RSS and not Narendra Modi. But as far as key portfolios are concerned, that's going to be a big task, because the expectation levels of people this time are very, very high. They think that Narendra Modi has come with this magical number, he's got a magical wand, and he'll be able to do miracles as far as inflation is concerned, employment is concerned, and all other curses of corruption and all that kind of thing. So that's something which is going to be a huge ask as far as Narendra Modi is concerned. So key portfolios, he would go in for professional people and ensure that there is some kind of deliverance, at least in the first 6 months to 1 year tenure, to be able to give a positive signal to the people that there is change is visible.
All right, but Vijay, then, I mean, I know you observed the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government also very closely, and the problem that that government had was many within the RSS had said that there were too many lateral entries coming, and there were too many people who would come in, the professionals had come in and taken over the hard work of the party workers. Is that a possibility? Do we see dissent like that could be emerging within the BJP if what you're suggesting Narendra Modi does?
Ishan, Vajpayee government, if you look, there was a coalition and there were a lot of people from other parties who had to be accommodated.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the likes of, for example, Jaswant Singh and Yashwant Sinha, who weren't RSS favourites, but were given really key portfolios in the Vajpayee government because Vajpayee trusted them more than the RSS.
But they delivered. I mean, if you look at the background of Jaswant Singh and Yashwant Sinha, they did deliver as far as, expectations that was accommodated. And that too, they performed in a scenario where there was a 13-party coalition, and that was a huge task to be able to balance everybody. And this is something where we see that these professionals do deliver merit. Now, given the fact that there is a mandate is absolutely clear, the Akali Dal has very clearly said that he doesn't want to be a part of the cabinet. Now, in this scenario, Narendra Modi will have to put in all the birds, primarily with the parties itself. Uddhav Thackeray is meeting Modi tomorrow, and he may opt to stay away from the government at this juncture. That's something which is being expected, that following the Akali Dal path, he would not want to do with a small portfolio and rather stay away till such time that the Maharashtra elections happen. So clearly that's something which will put that much more pressure that there is nothing to give away to the allies, and all the responsibility will lie as far as Modi is concerned. And given finance, these are going to be very crucial elements, and Modi will want to have the last word, or at least indirect control as far as these key portfolios are concerned.
All right, finance, home, yeah, go ahead, Sandeep.
I slightly differ from Vijay, what Vijay was saying. I think Modi is very keen to have its pan-Indian acceptance. So in order to get this pan-Indian acceptance, he would not allow allies to stay away, and rather include allies like TDP, Akali Dal and Shiv Sena.
Yeah, where does the TDP figure in this?
In the cabinet, so as to keep the numbers of BJP minister as far as low. It suits Narendra Modi to keep less minister from BJP rather than allies.
All right, but Vijay, as far as the TDP is concerned, do they want to share in the government, and what would you say to Sudeep's query?
Huge task ahead. It's going to be taking charge of a new state, a new complete state which needs to be built from scratch. And that's going to be a tough task for Chandrababu Naidu and his key allies. And one of the things that even following the Akali Dal line, the regional parties do not want another power center to emerge, because a cabinet minister from their party means it's an alternate power center to the chief minister. And in this case, Chandrababu Naidu would not certainly want to create trouble for himself by making more people in his party powerful, because he will have a problem whether to allocate cabinet to the Seemandhra side or to give it to the Telangana side, because he's got MPs from both sides, and that's going to be a very tough task for him. So he would rather opt out as well, is what are the indications that we are getting from the TDP, because they want to keep the pressure on that they will be able to get whatever packages that they need by being able to have the option to walk out. Because Chandrababu Naidu at the moment does not need the BJP for the next 5 years as far as the Seemandhra is concerned. He only needs the central government support to be able to build the state. So he would keep the pressure on the BJP, on his support, which actually may be irrelevant.
All right. Final question, gentlemen. Gaurav, I'll start with you. Four key portfolios. Just talk about them. Home, finance, defense, and external affairs. Who do you see them going to?
Well, finance, I think, would be going to Arun Jaitley, although he lost his elections, but it's immaterial. He would be, in any case, would be brought in the cabinet. Defense, I'm not sure whether he made a full-fledged minister or he will be given an MOS status, but VK Singh has a strong possibility of getting that portfolio. And what are the other things that you said?
External
Defense?
affairs and external affairs and home minister.
Home Minister,
You said Amit Shah could be a possibility.
Amit Shah possibility, but I also agree with the other panelists that he might be given an MOS status and not a full-fledged minister. And I'm not really sure about the external affairs, but Murali Manohar Joshi is probably one of the contenders.
Sudeep?
In my opinion, 2-3 names in this top ministry will surprise everybody. There is also talks about Arun Shourie being given some important portfolio, either commerce or because he held this disinvestment ministry when all the disinvestment had happened.
Right.
So Modi is also supported by a big corporate lobby, which wants reforms to be happen very, very fast.
Right.
So any political person, any person more linked to RSS or Swadeshi Avdharana won't be doing those things. So I found at least two ministries of crucial 5-6 ministry will surprise everybody.
All right, a very interesting point you make over there. Vijay, your take on the Home Minister, External Affairs Minister, Finance and Defense.
See, as far as defense is concerned, if General VK Singh is given, it would be actually a very dangerous thing, given the fact that General VK Singh has had a very controversial exit from the army, and also the winter march, if you recall, had created a lot of bad blood. And the present army chief, General Suhag, is not on the best of the terms as far as General VK Singh is concerned, because the rift between them came out in the open in the past as well. Now, this would be something which certainly Mr. Modi can avoid, because that would be something which would be sending a very wrong signal as far as politicizing the armed forces is concerned. Now, another important aspect as far as external affairs is concerned, he would look for a softer person, because the hardline image that Modi and the BJP have would certainly not send a very positive signal to the neighboring countries. And that's where you would look at somebody who's got a very proactive role. I feel Arun Jaitley is actually the best man for it, given the fact that he speaks Punjabi and would be able to link with Pakistanis that much more easily and would be able to give that kind of comfort level. But he was, I believe, on finance at the moment. But this is something which is going to be very important, because foreign affairs, finance are two crucial elements. And apart from that, Modi would keep himself with maybe one or two OMOS homes, and that's where, because he's got a lot of things, especially his past, that needs to be covered up, and he would certainly want these particular things to be in his own hands.
All right, but Vijay, does Sushma Swaraj still get left behind with the INB ministry this time as well, even after 15 years of hard work?
Oh yeah, certainly, because her biggest problem is that she is a very strong Advani loyalist, and none of the Advani loyalists can expect anything major to come out this time, because certainly Modi at this time can afford to antagonize some people by keeping them away because he's got numbers on his side and he doesn't have to worry about even if 5 or 10 people are upset and angry and they're kept away, he knows they will brood and they'll settle down in a couple of weeks.
Alright, so here's my take. My take is that we'll get Nitin Gadkari as Home Minister, we'll get Arun Jaitley as Finance Minister, we'll get Rajnath Singh as Defence Minister, with VK Singh as MOS, and as far as external affairs goes, Ravi Shankar Prasad. Alright, so on that note, that is my take. We'll wrap it up because we've absolutely run out of time. But all you viewers out there, why don't you send in your take? Who do you want in Modi's cabinet? Let us know. We'll surely forward it to the BJP to let them know that this is what you, the people, think. Let's make this process democratic as well. Thanks very much, Vijay and Gaurav, for joining us via Skype and Google Hangout. And thank you very much, Sudeep, for coming into the studio to discuss this. So let's see what comes. But I'm sure the betting market is really on the upswing thanks to the government formation being delayed and who's going to get which portfolio. But if you have a take, if you have a favorite, write in to us. We'll for sure tell everybody around. Thanks so much for watching.